But with Spike, he turns back and forth a couple times,
He
right?
does. Yeah.
And Willow, she gets evil, and it's insane when she gets evil, right?
Uh-huh.
She's
Yeah,
very,
she's
very,
apocalyptic,
very bad witch.
like some sort of like Indian god
Right.
level of
Yeah.
terror. I
Her eyes turn black.
yeah, she becomes upsetting. Like
Right. But and then so I bring it back to Spike.
he gets his soul. He
He
goes and
gets
earns
right,
his
and
soul back because he's like, well, she loved Angel and he had his soul.
right, and so that's to me that's really an ultimate arc. If you're talking about like being like a good man
Yeah.
as a vampire, he becomes a good man, and it's Buffy that makes him better. It's his motivation.
Yes.
I think that's what I find interesting, and I'm not saying like this could be just, men, women. This could be men, men, obviously too. But you find a person that you want to be better for. And I feel like that's the point of the positive story arc with Spike
Yes.
in masculinity,
Yes.
right?
Yes. He changes who he is
Right.
internally because he's like, oh my God, this is what living is about,
Right.
is this connection. And I want to do whatever I can to make this connection continue and thrive. And in doing so, he really develops himself and he becomes a, a lotus. I mean, really, he's blooming. From the mud comes the lotus, right?
Yeah. No, it's kind of like that movie, As Good as It Gets, with Jack Nicholson.
Yes, yeah.
Who's the blonde in that movie? She's great.
Helen Hunt.
Helen Hunt. And he tells Helen Hunt, "You make me want to be a better man."
Hmm.
And then
Which
she's
is
like, "That's
like,
the nicest thing." Right. But although so I like Spike's character better than
oh,
Jack Nicholson's.
so much better. Yes.
Oh, I love Jack Nicholson, by the way, but I'm just saying in context of his character.
Yeah, no, that's all good and stuff too, but it's very different. And
Hmm.
James Marsters, who plays the Spike character, he is so gifted. I can't believe that we didn't see him in so many different things. He must have chosen not to, or he must be careful, I guess. Because holy shit, like he can really balance that, like being the lovable bad guy in a
Yeah.
way that is hard to achieve. And yeah, he transitions from being definitely the super bad to the super wow, and he even sacrifices himself.
Yeah, he saves everybody.
He saves everybody, and he knows what he's
Yeah.
walking into, and he's like, yeah, it's worth it.
Hmm.
And like the way that when Buffy dies in at the end of season 5, how he like just without a thought goes and starts helping raise her little sister that she died for, who's supposed to, be within the realm of 13, 14, 15, maybe,
Hmm.
it's ambiguous. Because she gets imbued with a little sister through cosmic forces when basically like a goddess possesses this med student guy, Ben, Glorious the
Yeah,
goddess.
that's that whole season is crazy.
It's so crazy. And she is determined to return to whatever hell dimension she came from. And she's going to open a portal back to her dimension in hell. And it's an interdimensional portal that anything could come out of.
Is this the 5th season or the
That's
4th
the end
season?
of the 5th season.
That's the 5th season.
Yeah, the one where they've got the tower.
Do you think the 5th season is probably the most impactful for the overall show? Because a lot seems to happen.
I think so.
Yeah.
For me,
There's a
like,
lot.
I think the first probably like 2 or 3 seasons are like just wow, so good until we graduate from high school. And then I honestly am kind of like less into the early college
Yeah, that
years.
4th season is the one I think we only watched like a episode of.
Yeah.
Because we were watching the show in order initially, But then when we decided to do a Buffy episode, uh, honey, this we kind of did the similar with Star Trek. We focused on what we thought, or what you thought specifically, were the most impactful episodes.
For some key episodes.
Yes. Anyway, incidentally, because we're all, we're regular people, it really helps us if you like and subscribe if you're seeing this video on YouTube. And again, and please, we have a Buy Me a Coffee the page, which has the Buy Me a Coffee page has the episodes on it of its entirety in audio. Right now, we're just posting clips on YouTube. But if you want to listen to the whole podcast and the previous episodes, and maybe throw us a couple bucks, please feel free. Again, we're regular people just trying to get by.
So I love how in the show, they imbue the teenagers and young adults with the autonomy to participate in fighting this horror situation that they find themselves in. And they are not your typical teenagers who are like, oh, I'm going to live forever, forever young. Awesome, awesome. They have a much more grounded in their mortality perspective that is a direct result of living on the Hellmouth and experiencing so much chaos and violence.
All of them, too. Every character. No one gets unscathed on that show.
This is a series that doesn't just like gloss over the death is everywhere concept.
Well, and like all sorts of like personal tragedy, and how it informs people.
Yes, it shapes you.
Especially with Buffy, because you're right, she really fucking gets put through it in the show. In many ways.
Yes. And I mean, I didn't watch it because I can't watch it, the episode where her mom dies, the body. But I will say that having experienced a different yet similar situation in my life, I have yet to see any other artistic representation of losing a parent in your late teens that is as realistic as that The Body episode, with her losing her mom. And I did find comfort back when I was closer to living through that experience, watching that episode. But at this age and stage of my life, I don't have the emotional bandwidth to take on reopening that door to play with it. So I wasn't going to. But I do think that it's absolutely so useful, especially if we speed it up in time to the moment that we're living in today, to have a show that will potentially actually deal with some of the manifestations of trauma that we experience in even just witnessing chaotic, violent events.
Yeah, I do wonder because, like, violence happening to young people, and a lot of young people die in the especially in the high school. We thought it was really interesting how, like, all this crazy shit, all this killing, all the demonic, forces, and like, the demon, the vampires, demons, monsters, the mayor snake, when they all try to graduate, and the adults keep blaming the kids. It's funny because there is a Star Trek kind of crossover with the actor that plays Quark in Star Trek Deep Space Nine is also the principal.
Yes.
Who's a total asshole piece of shit.
He's horrible.
Never takes the kid's side. And is a dick towards the end, right up to the time where the snake mayor eats him. Right?
That's a satisfying
Which is
end.
great. But like no one seems to really care about any of the high school kids.
Right?
Except for Giles, basically, which is, I guess, if you want to talk about the Masterman, he's like the father figure. Kind of everybody, especially to Buffy, though. who doesn't have a dad, and they never really explain where the dad is.
They divorced, and he stayed in Los Angeles and clearly decided to go and keep living his life like some people do after they have a divorce and children.
I think it's the one missed opportunity though with the show is that they never really resolved that for some reason, right? Even though like because I get it, I totally absolutely. There's plenty of cases where a parent just pieces out after a divorce, but I feel like story wise in the show, it's kind of it's like they don't even bring him back as like a demon bad guy for like an episode or something like nothing.
Well,
That's
they
the
bring
only
him
thing.
back like for a couple of episodes, super duper briefly, as like a something they talk about, or
Okay.
like the one time where he shows up and early on in the first season, it's maybe like first half of the first season where she has her like all the nightmares come true. And her
Okay.
nightmare is that they divorced because of her. And that it was basically her being a slayer and her badassery as a result of her genetic calling she never wanted or asked for and is reluctantly participating in.
Okay.
Uh, and I actually think that I understand what you're saying, and I'm not going to tell you that you're wrong or that that's not a totally like good perspective to have. But I got to say, from most of the people that I knew where their parents did peace out, that was it.
Hmm.
Parents were gone. We did never hear from them again. So, as fucked up as it is it unrealistic?
No, I'm not saying it is. It's just an interesting that they never went down that. Maybe they, if the show would have went on longer, maybe they would have done something with it, especially after the mom died too. That's the other that's
That's where I
I'm
do
like a
start
little
to.
bit that's the only thing. But again, who knows how many people? It could be more. Maybe they did decide it was more realistic or too complicated.
Right, right. Well, and I got to say, though, part of them making that choice and keeping the dad away, I completely agree. After the mom dies, why the fuck aren't you taking in and it wasn't just the mom because then Buffy dies, and Buffy was the caretaker for Dawn. I don't understand how, like, legally the dad was just like, oh, it's fine. Some vampire I've never heard of and the lesbian best friend of my daughter who's now deceased on top of my ex-wife. Yeah, you go ahead and raise my kid. It's great.
Yeah, but okay. Maybe I have a little different like theory, fan theory. Well, maybe the existence of Dawn erased the dad because Dawn never talks about the dad
Never. Yeah.
ever. So that makes me think: did the dad exist? Did she not have a relationship? Maybe there, when Dawn came about, it sort of erased all that because even the mom stops talking about it, right?
I'll
And
allow for that possibility.
well, that's just a theory. I don't know.